Dodge fucking Shadow. That motherfucker was green, like forest green. That car was a piece of shit.
So I had two. My first car was a Ford Contour. My dad got it from a salvage yard. So we salvaged what we could.
I mean, my first car wasn't really that great, but it wasn't as fucked up as the Buick.
I'll have me a little 2013 Hyundai, little hatchback, cherry red, of course. That was my little car. I used to drive that thing everywhere.
The passenger wouldn't roll down.
I had the little thing that you gotta roll down. That's one I got now. Right there, stronger than a motherfucker.
And people would ride over the back seat.
The stereo thumping, making my way downtown, walking fast.
I didn't have AC, of course.
If you got a car with no AC, you might as well ride a fucking bike, like a Huffy.
That was just my little partner in crime, but I needed to go do something bad.
Yeah, man, you ain't need no key to unlock that joint. Like, it was hanging out, like, the shit, the actual whole lock was to hang out the side of the door.
You ain't even need a key to start that fucker. You could start that bitch with your hand.
I do remember having a screwdriver to start that motherfucker, bro. That shit was crazy.
It would overheat all the time. We'd have to go 10 miles, fill up the reservoir with water. And try to keep going. It would just be smoking. It would be really, really tragic.
I could not drive past 50 miles per hour or my shit started shaking like a washing machine. Boy, that shit was so fucking embarrassing. Just imagine you get a breezy in the car, you trying to take on the day, but you only can go 45. But majority of the places you got to get too fast, it's the interstate. And that's my 60 to 70.
Definitely wasn't giving no girls no rides in that motherfucker. Definitely couldn't nobody. The niggas, yeah, we gonna come pick you up with the girls. Nah, you couldn't even see me park that joint.
Boy, I tried to go over 45 one day, and that bitch go to shaking and shit like that.
And then my second hoopty was trash.
One time I'm driving that joint, start smelling something. Like
then sometimes my windshield wipers used to just by themselves. It's sunny as fuck outside, and your shit keep doing that shit just out the blue. Then you be like, it ain't raining like that. I'll be like, oh man, I'm trying to hope you don't know this either.
So my driver's door wouldn't close, so every time I would turn left, the door would swing open. The seatbelt was attached to the door because it was like one of those, and it would just choke me.
Believe it or not, that shit held me down for a few years until I fucked around and got into a bad with this female. And she put sugar in my tank.
I see that motherfucker kept on fire. That shit caught on fire, like flames out the hood and shit. So once the flames and all that shit started, I started seeing the flames. I jumped the fuck out, let that shit coast. I went park that joint, right? So I was on my way to work. So I parked it, got a ride to work. Came back like 3-4 hours later. That bitch on bricks, bro.
And then, man, that was the end of my Dodge Shadow, man. I worked so hard for that motherfucker, man.
And I lived in the Midwest at the time, so it was like snow. So the bottom was ate up like rust on the bottom, and there was a hole. I was like a Flintstone car on the passenger side, and you could see the ground going by as I drove.
They just stole everything. They just stole my tires. They moved the trunk, stole my spare tires. They stole my radio. They even stole my little from underneath the seat. Yeah, man, it was crazy, bro. They took everything. And only thing they left in that bitch was the screwdriver. Yeah, I miss that Buick, man. I ain't never worried about nobody stealing that shit. Well, if you stole that shit, you had to be down the bay.
And that car actually taught me how to change my tire by myself. I was coming up a hill, caught a flat, and had to push the car to the gas station. People saw me, no one helped. It was late at night, my phone died, and I had to get the spare out. I had to use a manual jack. It was like this little crank thing. You had to crank it up to get it to start to rise the car. I got the tire off. My fingers were hurting so bad because I had no gloves, and I was doing it in the snow. It was so bad. But yeah, it was definitely the worst car ever, but it was faithful. Got me from point A to point B. And that's really all you need when you got you a loop-tee.